As someone who switches phones very, very regularly, sometimes as often as every few days, normally about every 7 to 10 days, I get bored and I move from phone to phone at this point in my life. I therefore have to switch smartwatches very, very often as well. For a long time, my solution to this problem was to basically have multiple smartwatches. If I'm using my Samsung phone, well, my Galaxy Watch is paired to that. If I'm going to go to a Pixel phone, maybe the Pixel Watch is paired to that. If I'm using my Surface Duo, it's probably a Mobvoi watch paired to that. So I'm constantly just switching phones and watches. This is a little bit on the annoying side. So I decided to do something about it. I went on Twitter and I said, what smartwatches are decent and don't need to be reset just to move from phone to phone? And a lot of people said Garmin. A lot of people said Amazfit. So I went to Amazon. Amazfit was one that I knew some people that had had personally. So I looked into it and I came across this, the Amazfit Bip 3, $49.99. So I bought it. And I've been using it since the end of April. Now, there's been some time where I've been wearing like 2 watches at a time, reviewing other watches, but I've used this thing fairly consistently from that point forward. And I've got some thoughts. I know this is an older watch, right? This is not a brand new product, so no one might care about this review. But there's things that I found out about it while using it that weren't covered in any of the reviews that I saw. So I figured I would be the guy. I will just go ahead and tell you guys what I think about it. Okay, so this is the Amazfit Bip 3. Now, this is not the watch band that it comes with. This was some little cheap $4 clearance watch band I found at Walmart. It comes with a silicone band by default, which is fine, but it's not something that I really liked all that much. As you can see here, it's got a relatively large screen. It is kind of squared off so that it kind of looks like an Apple Watch, which is whatever. I don't think it looks particularly good, but it also doesn't look particularly bad. It's pretty darn basic. The screen is fine. It's, again, nothing special. If you look very closely, the PPI is quite low, so you can actually kind of start to see individual pixels if you get up really, really close on it. But at, wrist distance, I think it does the job just fine. The brightness is okay. And of course, it is a touchscreen. You have a single button on that side, and that is it. Your array of sensors on the bottom, that is also how it charges, but you're not going to be charging it very often because this thing will last about 2 weeks on a single charge. I do not remember when I last had it charging, but I'm at 46%. So I would render a guess of at least 1 week ago, and that is absolutely normal. That is how this thing just goes. It's really, really incredible battery life. On your home screen, this is how this device kind of works in terms of just getting around the operating system. Swiping down gets you into sort of your quick settings, which we'll look at here in just a little bit. Swiping down shows you your notifications, and notifications have been consistent. Some of the other cheaper watches like this I've tried, like the one from Mobvoi, the TicWatch GTH, notifications were really finicky. This thing, notifications come through just fine. Although you cannot really do much with them. If you get a text message, you're not responding to that text message. You're only going to be aware that it's there. Same thing with phone calls. You can't answer calls. There's no speaker here. So you're just aware of the notifications. You can't really do anything with them at that point. But that's fine. It is what it is. If you're back on the home screen, swiping left or right takes you through a list of different widgets. So you have your activity widget, which has your steps, standing time, minutes, all these things. Your heart rate, blood oxygen, stress level, PAI, which is like an overall metric it uses for like how active you have been over the last few days. Weather, and then a widget for now playing, because you can actually play, pause, whatever music is playing on your phone, and that actually does work quite well also. If you click the home button again, or I guess the only button, you get a list of the applications, and as you can see, there are quite a few. So there's the way to actually trigger a workout, history, sleep, heart rate, activity goal. You can see the rest of this here. There's also a camera remote. You can trigger your camera shutter with this watch, countdown, stopwatch, find your phone, which can be potentially useful, and then of course you can jump directly into your settings. And in the settings, we can talk about something that is a little bit annoying, but you kind of have to just dial it in. There's no sleep mode. So what you end up having to do, and this is what I've done, you can go lit upon wrist lift and set a schedule, right? So mine is 6:30 a.m. to 9 p.m. So at 9 o'clock, lift to wake stops functioning. Swiping back across this way takes you back. Light up upon notifications. Same schedule. You have this icon here, which is do not disturb. Now, enable in smart mode is basically it's going to turn on do not disturb when it thinks you're sleeping, or you can set a custom schedule for that either way. And if you do that, you basically have your own automatic sleeping mode turned on this watch, and it works fine. Let's put the thing on real quick and we will take a fast look here at some of the different things it can do. Like, let's look at the heart rate and let's measure. We'll see how quick this is. There you go, 62 beats per minute. That took, what, about 10, 15 seconds, something like that. As you can see here, it is measuring continuously over the course of the day. You can go into your settings and do this all day heart, 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 1 minute, whatever it is you want to have that set to. And of course, blood oxygen is there as well. Let's go ahead and measure that. And it'll give you instructions here to remain still. And it kind of wants you to put your arm on a desk like this anyway, so this should work fine. And that was actually even quicker than the heartbeat was. I probably wasn't positioned exactly perfectly, so that's why that did not necessarily measure as quick. And then, of course, for workouts, you just pick your workout. And if you need something that uses GPS, it's going to actually use your phone's GPS because this does not have its own GPS in it. And that does tend to work okay for me as well. You get a nice map, so forth and so on. So overall, the device itself is very lightweight. There's nothing special about it, but it does the job and it does exactly what I need it to do, which is tell me when I have a notification and then do some basic health tracking. But there's more to be said about that health tracking, and we're going to look at the application for this to go forward on that point. So the app it uses is called Zepp, Z-E-P-P, a bit of a strange name. You can see here that it is syncing my data as we speak from my watch, and things are updating as we go. It is done. There's my watch's battery and all the data that has been collected. I think this app is laid out relatively well. You have your steps, your sleep, heart rate, PAI, which again, I guess I can give you like what PAI actually is here. Indicator of individual physiological activities. Basically, you do things to earn PAI, and I have not done nearly enough over the last couple of days in terms of actually tracking workouts to be earning my PAI score, so it has dropped down quite a bit. You can see down here the workout history, and then your tools over here for health. You can see different things as well, and of course, I have not actually tracked specifically some of these things all that recently. And again, that is one problem here, is that it doesn't have any kind of automatic tracking. If you forget to actually tell it to track a thing you're doing, you're going to go for a run and you don't tell it you're going for a run, it's not going to know that. So you have to manually tell it what to do. And then under profile, you can see there are a few things there, like some settings you can change for the watch itself, like changing the watch face, vibration, which you can actually go in and set a different vibration pattern for different things, which is actually quite nice. You can also go in here and change what applications are able to send notifications and really dial that stuff in as well. Now, my biggest issue with this app and with the watch in general is that the tracking is not all that accurate. The sleep tracking in particular seems to be incredibly generous. Let's take a day like Saturday, for instance, where I know for a fact I was awake for a lot of the night. In fact, I was up walking around. I was awake for so long. It does not register hardly any of that. It saw that I was awake, but it was not for that duration. My awake time of 12 minutes, awake 5 times, there's no way that's accurate. It should be way higher than this, and I have basically double checked this by wearing this watch and another watch that I trusted more for sleep tracking. This was the Mobvoi TicWatch Pro 5, and the Pro 5 would have wildly different numbers than this. So the sleep tracking on this thing, I mean, it's neat, but for me, it's absolutely useless. It is so inaccurate, it is not even funny. Now, stuff like the heart rate tracking was much more accurate, although there is one small problem there as well. When I do things like look at particular workouts, it will always have a maximum heart rate that is 1,000,000 miles too high. Again, wearing 2 watches, my heart rate never got over like the mid 140s, but it thought I hit 186 at one point. The average is usually within a couple of numbers off. So 143, maybe the Mobvoi watch said 140, 141. So that's not too bad. I'm not too upset about that. But the maximum, it always seems to find a maximum that is 1,000,000 miles away from truth. My heart has not hit 186. I don't even know when. So that does make you kind of question some of these things, right? I've zoomed way out here on this one just so that no one knows exactly where I live. But if you do like walking, running, biking, and again, you give your watch permission to use your phone's GPS, it will give you a trail exactly where you've been, so forth and so on. And that does work really quite well. Blood oxygen seems to be relatively accurate. It's not something that I really use, and it does not have background checking. So you can see here, I'll go days without actually having to check. I don't really care about my blood oxygen level. Said it was 96 just now. That's probably a little bit low for someone that's just sitting here doing nothing, but you know, take that for what it's worth. I've noticed a lot of smartwatches kind of get a little weird with blood oxygen. But the cool thing is, if you don't care about that, you can take the blood oxygen and you can move it off here and you don't actually have to see that any longer. There are some categories there that this watch won't actually even be able to read in the first place, so maybe you want to move those off. At this point, many of you may be preparing to ask me, why are you wearing that watch when you have several more premium, more expensive, just flat out better smartwatches? This is a watch that, by my own admission, is not useful for sleep tracking. It's incredibly inaccurate for sleep tracking. The heart rate monitoring on workouts occasionally renders a maximum heartbeat rate that is way above what was actually occurring. What is it about this watch that makes you keep using it? What are you using it for? All I want this thing to do is give me a general idea of my health tracking. I don't need it to be perfect. I'm good with it just being generally close to where I am. And then the other big thing, when I switch phones, when I pop my SIM out of one phone, put it into another, and I go to set this watch up on that phone, you know what I have to do? I install the Zep app and I sign in, and it grabs the watch for me, and I carry on as if nothing has happened. That simplicity of switching phones is the reason I am putting up with the other shortcomings with this watch. It's not the battery life, which is outstanding. It could be 2 or 3 days and that would be fine, but it's not. It's 14 days. It's an unbelievable battery life for a watch like this. It's not that. It's the simplicity of switching phones, because all I really wanted to do, like I said, very basic tracking, and I want to be able to see my notifications. I want to be able to play and pause the music I am listening to. That's all I want. That's all I need. And if that's all you want and all you need, this thing might make sense for you as well. It's not expensive, right? So it's kind of disposable. Almost $50 is really, really inexpensive for a smartwatch. And for $50, it's outstanding. Like, the fact that this thing is like $50, I would have assumed was going to basically be a toy, something that couldn't do anything. This thing is far more capable than it should be at $50. I mean, look, is it the most accurate health tracker in the world? No, but it's $50. It lasts 2 weeks and it switches phones without any problem at all. I kind of love it. So there you go, guys. A lot of the other reviews that I had watched, like I said, didn't really make any mention of the inaccuracy of sleep tracking or the weird inaccuracies with the heart rate tracking in workouts. So I wanted to put this bit of information out there into the world and also really hammer home that big point: switching phones is really seamless and really nice. So hopefully this aids 1 or 2 people when it comes to making a purchase of this smart watch. I will drop an affiliate link in the description down below if you want to check it out. Maybe you're someone that switches phones a lot too, and maybe you're like me and you only need the things this thing's actually halfway decent at, and you don't mind spending $50. Maybe you don't want to spend more than $50. This thing might make sense for you as well. Maybe down the line, I'll review some nicer watches by Amazfit. I know they have some more premium ones, perhaps ones that do a better job with some of this tracking stuff. Maybe that winds up being like the ultimate smartwatch for me. Something with good battery life, good tracking, and seamless phone switching could definitely be the case. Maybe I'll check those out down the line as well. Guys, thanks for watching. Subscribe for more content just like this. And until next time, stay nerdy, my friends.